and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of February 3rd, 2014. Welcome to the site to you new members, and welcome back to the old. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your question if I'm going to answer it, so please send your questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There is no such thing as a stupid question, and it is the best way to get the most out of the site. I'm going crazy. I am up in the stakes. I'm up in the ante. Now you get 2 free days on KennyRoy.com every single time you send in a question. There's no limit to the number of questions you can send in. So it used to be 1 day. Now I'm kicking it up. I'm doubling the amount of time you get. So send in 5 questions. I'll immediately add 10 days onto your subscription. It's a great way to get involved in the site, and as well, not just getting that free time, but phrasing your questions, kind of like figuring out how to boil down your confusion or just an issue you're having with your animation into just a concise question is actually good practice. Okay, when you're on the job, communicating what you're doing, trying to get through the day, get through the shots that you have on your table, that's a really big part of the job. So try to figure out how to communicate yourself clearly on your shots, and take advantage of the giveaway of time that I'm doing here on KennyRoy.com, and send in some questions. Okay, I love to get questions. I got a big flood of questions, but I want to get a lot more. I want a pile that I can go through. Okay, I appreciate if you'd help me out with that. Don't forget also that there are other ways to get free time on the site by referring your friends. If you refer your friend and they put your name in the subscription form, even if they sign up for a free trial, you get 30 days free instantaneously added to your account. So have all your friends just game the system. I don't care. Like, have them all just like sign up and cancel immediately. It doesn't matter to me. I just want people who don't know about the site to come see the site, okay? And take advantage. Have them take advantage of me. I don't care, okay? Let's see. I don't think there's much other announcements except the Anim Gym webcast is going to be this Friday at noon here on the homepage of KennyRoy.com. Please come check that out. Even if you didn't participate, it's good to come and see the work that was done this month in the Anim Gym. And I think that is all for announcements. I thought I had another thing, but if it dawns on me, I'll get back to it. Okay. Cool. Let's check out this week's question. Great question. Thank you for sending that one in. I mean, this is kind of general, and I picked this one this week because it is kind of a good way for me to almost wrap up everything kind of that we've discovered together in the past year or so. Mainly animating with tempo. That was mainly the thing that I kind of finally had the words to describe and the methods to demonstrate how to get to those timing choices. So in general, check out the animating with tempo lecture that's in the archive right now. Animating with tempo. But specifically, when you get to blocking, it is absolutely totally normal for you to have a moment where you're like, okay, my animation has fundamentally changed. It is soupier, it is swimmy, it is not as snappy or high impact as what I had before. And that's normal, and that's what we all go through. To combat that, normally we have a couple methods of doing the blocking that give you a little bit of a leg up, a little bit of a head start on all of that. Okay, so what I used to do was use copied pairs. Before I really got into step mode blocking, I used copied pairs. And what copied pairs is a method of blocking where you start in spline, but whenever you have a moving hold, you basically, let's say you have a pose you made like this, right? You copy the pose and then you paste it wherever you want it to be. And basically your animation looks like this, right? You have a bunch of, well, you might not have this little weird interpolation right there. In fact, that's confusing even me. So let me just draw a real curve here. Your animation ends up looking like this, where you have pairs of keys that you copied to basically distinguish your holds. The problem with copied pairs, as I later figured out, is that all of the motions that you do, they're kind of treated all the same. They're all treated almost as just transitions between poses. And while pose-to-pose animation looks great and it's really good for a lot of performance stuff, this doesn't work really at all with a shot as simple a change from like a head to toe kind of standing in performance pose to pose shot as just like the character walking and doing the same thing. All of a sudden, just that kind of like constant movement, even if they're gesturing and doing like a little bit of kind of like pose to pose within it, all of a sudden once they start moving, you kind of lose the ability to do this, and it works sort of okay for physical stuff, but again, the more constant the motion is, the less you're able to use this. So this is a method that is very well suited for CG animation, like CG features, and maybe like episodic or commercial work where the character is kind of really just like standing and delivering a line, and they might turn and you know, talk to somebody else or talk to somebody else over here, or there might be a big action, but then like it all kind of like just comes back and settles, and then they're, you know, just performing pose to pose again. So this really didn't hold for me everything that I need from a method of blocking that you know to avoid those very very very, you know, destructive moments. Okay. Now with stepped keys, you set your keys, okay, and there's no interpolation. Maya just draws that line and it dies. It doesn't even have a keyframe right here. It just dies whenever there's a new value, okay? Now that's why it's called stepped, right? Because it looks like stairs. Now the advantage of stepped mode is that as detailed as you end up wanting to be, if you put those in as breakdowns, you start being able to define a lot more what you want your animation to look like. Okay. However, it still gets a little bit messed up when you spline it, for the main reason that Maya doesn't really ever know what you want. Oops. What you want your... Here, I gotta do this on my Cintiq. Hold on a second. Okay. Maya doesn't really know what you want your interpolation to be when you're done. Oops. My Cintiq is not as wide as this monitor. It's not actually 16:9. It's a square 21. Anyway, so here you have it, right? So, what I now do is to avoid as much as possible the moment when I go to spline and everything is kind of destroyed, is I set extra keys, and it's almost kind of like copied pairs, but not really, because you don't actually have to copy anything because of the way that Maya works. Always take advantage of Maya as much as you can. If I set a key right here, that's a bad color. Yellow, let's do red again. If I set a key right here, right, and I set a key right here, all I have to do in Maya is go to that keyframe and just select my controls and hit S, okay? Because Maya interpolates by stepped right now, instead of when I hit spline, it going like this, right? It's going to turn this into a copied pair for me, isn't it? Right, oops. Right, because there's, I can do it. Okay, it's going to turn it into a copied pair. So I'm establishing how long I want my holds to be. Okay. Now there's a trick that I do sometimes when I want a little bit of a moving hold and I want to still be in stepped mode, stepped key. And what I'll do is I'll use the middle mouse drag trick, okay, to make a moving hold, which is if you're in spline mode. And I'm assuming that these are like full body keys. This isn't like one channel on one controller I'm talking about. This is like a full body key, right? So just imagine this is like a C set and this is like key to everything. All right. So if I'm in spline mode and I want a moving hold, okay, I will go to this frame and I'll middle mouse drag it to like right here and then hit S. Okay, and it'll set a key on this value. It doesn't even have to be a keyframe there. It'll set a key on that value, right? So what I get, if I do that, is this value copied to right here, and I hit S, right? And then my new curve actually looks like this, right? So we get a little bit of a moving hold. Now, if this is too big of a change, right? Sometimes what I'll do is I'll do it again. I'll middle mouse drag from here, and then I'll get something that's like in the middle right here, right? Okay, right. Waiting for you to respond here. I watch a lot of Baby Einstein and Mickey Mouse Club because my kid is 2 now, and I'm surprised at how often all of the TV shows still have the characters asking the kids to respond. And I don't ever remember responding to the screen ever when I was a kid, but my kid has started responding. It's crazy. They're like, hey, you want to go to the clubhouse? And he goes, yeah! It's awesome. Anyway. So sometimes what I'll do is even when I'm blocking, even when I'm in step mode still, I will hit spline, which will it'll make the curve. I'll middle mouse drag this here, hit S, which will set a key, and then convert everything back to stepped, which means that this will be my new key, right? So that I know when I go back to spline again, I still have things to work out. I still need the editability of timing that stepped keys afford me. I still need all of the advantages, but I want to give myself just a little hint when I'm working with these keys, what that computer-generated moving hold would look like, so I can use it or throw it away. Whatever. It's there for me to use, whatever. Does that make sense? So sometimes I'll do that, and then I'll have this, right? And then maybe I'll just, when I know that this is supposed to be like, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 frame hold or whatever, I'll do that, right? And then I'll continue to add breakdowns. And then finally, when I spline this thing, right, I'll get exactly what I want. Whereas without doing those two techniques, without doing maybe like the foam moving hold and and establishing, just by setting another key, how long I want these moving holds to be, my resulting curve would actually look something like this. Right? And there's some differences there. All right? There's some substantial changes to the animation that may not be difficult to work out. These things might not actually be like hard animation problems, but this is time. And the amount of space in here is almost like a clock. It's almost like sand in an hourglass. All right? You know how an hourglass works, right? You got the sand in the top, and it falls down and piles up at the bottom, right? See this? What does this shape look like? It looks like this, right? Just like straightened out a little bit. Imagine that all of this, the bigger the change is between what you want and what Maya gives you, is like an hourglass. Okay? So this little change right here is like, that's like 5-minute fix. Maybe 2-minute fix, right? This is like, I don't know, maybe this is like a 5 to 10-minute fix. Maybe this is like a 10 to 15-minute fix. Just to figure out exactly, just to get it to in spline mode, because everything is a lot harder to kind of like figure out, because like things are like gliding in and out of poses, right? It's a little bit harder at that stage, at the spline stage, to make the fixes just like inherently. And maybe this is like a 20-minute fix, right? And again, this is not one curve of one channel. I'm talking about, this is the entire character, right? Just imagine this is like a C-set, or like this is everything. This is the whole pose going in and out of whatever, okay? So, a change this big to try to, it's almost like bending it, to try to like, push it and bend it into whatever you actually wanted. That takes time. That takes time upon time. Okay, I like to, whenever I meet someone at a party who's never met an animator before, I like to tell them that I worked for a year on King Kong, and total on screen time I have about 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes of footage. And they're like, "What? A year for 2 minutes? Oh my God!" It freaks them out. And then, you look at something like this. This is a very illustrative example of how, like, why it takes us so long to do stuff. Okay? So, I guess to answer the question very simply, watch the Animating with Tempo lecture, because if you can get to those timing choices a lot quicker, then you can start to triage and experiment and sort of like go on a little bit of adventure with your timing that you can't if you're trying to pose your character into blocking with timing. So I would watch that lecture and see if that maybe is a light switch for you. But in general, the method basically that I've chosen, this method of doing that is how I've been able to kind of minimize the fallout of going from step to spline. I want to also finish by saying that I convert from stepped to clamped, but then I switch my curve type to auto tangent. Okay, so again, I go to take advantage of this method, though, the moving holds and whatever, all right? Because clamped will actually flat the ones that look like they're supposed to be flat, right? So at any rate, so I go from stepped to clamped. I convert it to clamped, but then as I'm working, I change my default created tangent type to auto. Because auto deals better when you're splining or when you're in spline with whatever it's pretty good at guessing. But clamped actually converts stepped done this way into usable information a lot better. Okay? So check out those things that I said and see, maybe map out your workflow in a visual way like this. Maybe see like kind of how you're doing it. Because if you don't know how, like really how you're doing it, you don't have a really full grip on your workflow, do you? All right, and I'm all about workflow. Can't get away with anything with me. All right? All right, please send me more questions. This is the address to send them to. I look forward to seeing them, and I look forward to awarding you 2 days every single time you send one in. It's been a pleasure. Good luck with your animation, and as always, rock on.